So this morning I am cleaning and polishing these old Centerline wheels that I had on my drag car that I'm going to try to put on my hot rod. This is the last one. I've kind of worked my way up to this one, from the worst to the best, and I made some mistakes along the way, but I got them cleaned up okay, I think. I mean, good enough for this car. It's no show car. What I've done to start is I've taken a little 80 grit flap disc on my Milwaukee drill, and the drag car was 5 on 4 3/4, hot rod's 5 on 4 1/2. So these are dual pattern, so there was some rust that had been embedded into this, so I just buffed that off so it's going to look a little better rather than having big nasty rusty spots. We've got some scratches in here. I'm going to take those out with the these aren't too bad. Get little nicks here and there. I'm going to just buff those with the flappy wheel. Kind of here too, I've got a nick, and hit that with the flapper wheel a little bit, and then we may scuff it with some 800 grit sandpaper all around. These are a little dirty. I may hit the flutes with this little wire brush real quick just to clean them up a little bit, because they got some crud in them. But the thing is, that's what annoys me about these wheels, these flutes. They look cool, but man, are they miserable. They came from the factory dirty. They were not polished down there, and it's just, and if you can leave them, I guess it doesn't really matter, because that's how they came. But it just, meh. I've gotten the other ones pretty much cleaned out. What's nice about this wheel is there's not a lot of etching on the brushed section. I had one wheel that this was just white, gritty, corroded garbage, and I really had to get aggressive on it to clean it up. And it came out all right, but you know, it's standoff scale, let's say. This stuff here, this is all going to buff right off with my buffing kit and the buffer. So that's what we're going to do. And if you look, you know, these are July 1995, and these are 2-piece. These are 15 7s. My other ones are 15 8 1/2s, which don't exist anymore. They don't make them. They're just starting to remake these again, and they're only coming out with 15 8s. So the 15 8 1/2s that I have are kind of old school, oddball originals from 1995. These are in better shape than the other ones, than the rears, because the rears were on the car up till a few years ago. So anyway, I'm going to set this on my tripod and start taking a few little whacks at this thing. And if you see any of the tools that I'm using that you might be interested in, they will be available in my Amazon shop. Just see the link down in the description below. So we're going to start here. Feels terrible to use 80 grit on a polished aluminum wheel, but you got to get the scratches out, and then you can work your way up through 800 grit before you hit it with the rouge, and that will get rid of everything. One thing I screwed up on my other wheels, on the one that was really bad, is I went really aggressively at it with some of the wire brushes and overheated the metal a little bit, and it kind of moved some metal around, so I ended up having to really start working that to get that back off. So I've learned to try to keep, especially on aluminum, try to keep the heat to a minimum, and that seems to help. Again, this isn't going to be perfect. It's going to be good enough. Alright, we don't have any more significant nicks. And I still got a little bit of mark here. Alright, that's pretty good there. Now we're going to hit these areas. A little bit of... Actually, I'm going to give the whole wheel a scuff with some course number 3 steel wool. Alright, now that we got it down with the steel wool, I like to hit it with some, I mean, you can work your way up from 100 grit on up, but this is good enough right now. I can hit it with some 800 in the areas that I worked, smooth it out, and then we'll let the rouge do its business next. And now I'm going to try to just clean these out a little bit. Now that's a little brutal, but it's about the only way I can come up with, other than, well, I don't know, that's the only way I could come up with to get in there and get some of that black gunk that had built up in there out. And now I'm just gonna scuff around the top with the 800 again to soften up some of the scuffs from the wire wheel. All right, well, that's a bit better if it's not, if a bit scratched up. So now we're going to move outside and hit it with the buffing compound. So, got the buffer. This is a cheap one with controllable speeds. And I'm going to just start by going around and getting the easy spots first. Then I'm going to get up and set it on the chair and try to get the rest of the stuff. That takes a little bit of time and a little bit of work, but we'll get it. And yeah, I've engaged my safety squints, so we're good. So, it's pretty good. Now, the hard part, got to get in here, get some of these flutes, and then scuff this face here to clean it up just a little bit. So, I do that standing up, just because I want to, you know, throw the wheel if I, if I catch it. That thing's really made for a wheel that's mounted on a table. And it gets away. All of this stuff is hard to do by hand, but the fun part of this is, since this is only spinning one way, you're only getting one side of the flutes. So I pretty much figured once if you turn it over, you can get the other side. Alright. And that's pretty much all of the flutes. Now we're going to try to get around these rivets. And then the face. And that black crap, if you can see it, that'll buff off afterwards. Seam equality. This is going for good enough for my 22-year-old hot rod. Alright, now we're going to go clean it off and maybe mount a tire on it, see how she looks. So for cleaning, I've just been using this glass cleaner. It works pretty good. Doesn't seem to have anything in it that, because it's made for tint, doesn't seem to have anything in it that etches anything. And it breaks up the gunk pretty well, as this disgusting towel attests. This is just a microfiber cloth. Nothing terribly special. And there we have it. My 25-year-old Centerline Convo Pros cleaned up, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. Obviously there's some spots I could go back and do a little bit more work, and I may, but you can see, you know, we've still got that little ding here that's not bad. I'm not going to dig that all the way out. We got a little scuff there and a few nicks, but let's see, if I remember right, the scratches were over here. You just barely make them out till you get real close, but you know, another scuff with the 800, go back with the buffing wheel again. That's the beauty of this. Depending on what you want to do, you know, you hit it once with the rouge, and you see something you missed, you go back, polish it back out, work your way back up to it, and buff it again. And that's how you end up with what you want. It's just how much time you want to spend in it. And this is probably the limit of the time I want to spend, because I've probably got a couple 3 days into all 4 of these wheels. But for this car, and the fact that I'm saving $1,200 or so by reusing what I've already got, I'm happy with it. So now, time to get a tire on, see how she fits. Alright, there's the originals. Got my California hot rod look going on in the back. Now you can see that these are kind of tucked in a little bit. good. And now the new ones. I have to say I am pretty darn happy with that. Tucked about as nicely as you could. Just about as wide as you can get. One thing I don't know is, will it rub? As long as it doesn't touch the fender. There, that's the stop. Woo! Well, I can always lift it a little bit with the suspension, but oh, she looks good. Not bad. Not bad at all. Go the other way. Beauty. Wonderful. We got ourselves some new wheels. I really like them. That, not bad for 25 years old sitting in a barn. And actually the rears were sitting on that blue Firebird for probably 20 of those years. So I just got to get some little beadlock, fake beadlock screws to put on that, cover up my old holes, and we are good to go. I am happy. So I am now going to finish mounting the other two tires, get them on the car, and we're pretty much done, other than getting them balanced. And we just got to wait for the parts to come back from the body shop. Talk to y'all later.